Hello and welcome to Rise Unwind. My name is Dan. You know, each and every week I try to talk to people from across the country about things you could do in your neighborhood. And on this week's show, we got this.
I've always been very, very proud of the dance and performance achievements of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, but Netflix has now put a new lens on the cheerleaders.
The shark actually tastes like a sweet, juicy pork chop.
All of that and more right here in Rise Unwind. What do you get when you mix couture chaos, murder in paradise, and a comeback wedding with secrets that could pretty much kill? It's Another Simple Favor. It's the long-awaited sequel that reunites Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively for another round of sharp wit, killer fashion, and even deadlier twists, this time in Capri. Joining the cast is Tony winner Alex Newell, who plays Vicky, Stephanie's fierce and fabulous book agent. Welcome to the show, Alex. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Good.
This sequel, it brings back a lot of wild energy from the original, but now we're in Capri with even more secrets and high fashion. What's it like stepping into the deliciously chaotic world?
Amazing. And I get to be in Capri. Who doesn't want that? And oh God, that backdrop is gorgeous.
From Shucked on Broadway to a Paul Feig thriller in Italy, you've been booked and busy. What drew you to Another Simple Favor, and how did it feel to collaborate with this ensemble?
You know, when my agent texted me and said, "Hey, do you want your White Lotus moment?" I was like, absolutely. And she said, "Well, Paul is directing the sequel of A Simple Favor and wants you to come on out to Capri and play this role." And I was so honored because I'd worked with Paul on Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist before. And so to come back and be actually directed by him and work with this incredible ensemble was just a dream come true. Everybody was so lovely.
And the movie blends comedy, mystery, and a little bit of glam, sometimes all pretty much in the same scene. What was your favorite moment in the film, or one that you think that you will always remember?
Oh my goodness. My favorite moment from the film that I think that entrance to Capri, the boat ride into it. I think that was just breathtakingly beautiful, just riding in onto it. Ugh.
And between the twists, the couture, and the cast, chemistry, what do you think will surprise audiences the most this time around?
The chaos. I mean, there is so much happening that you don't get a break from it. I think that's what they'll really take from it, but also kind of like what friendship is. I think we all have that frenemy and that friend that we all like to jab at and talk to, but we love them regardless.
Alex, thanks for joining me this morning. You should check out Another Simple Favor. It's available now on Amazon Prime.
NF1-PN is a rare genetic condition that can cause nerve tumors, chronic pain, and limit mobility, impacting every part of a person's life. Today, we're joined by Dr. Angela Herbie, a physician and researcher focused on rare diseases, and Austin Fields, a pastor and advocate who's lived with NF1-PN since childhood and is now helping raise awareness. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Herbie, what should people know about NF1-PN and how it affects those living with it?
Yeah. First of all, thanks so much for having us here today. We're really excited to partner with SpringWorks Therapeutics to try to bring more attention to neurofibromatosis type 1, plexiform neurofibromas, or NF1-PN. So NF1 is an inherited genetic condition. It's actually the most common tumor predisposition syndrome. So it affects 1 in 2,500 people. So that's about 120,000 people in the United States. And then half of those patients are going to develop these plexiform neurofibromas. And these are large tumors that can happen anywhere in the body. They usually involve multiple nerve roots, and they cause a significant amount of pain for patients. And they can also be very disfiguring. And in some cases, these deep tumors can even push on organs and cause organ damage.
Austin, how has this condition shaped your life, both personally and professionally?
Yeah, so I was diagnosed at a very young age, and at a young age, I had to have surgery to remove part of the tumor twice in 1 year because both times it was growing into my spine. They couldn't remove all of it because it would cause paralysis. The first time they went to remove it, they removed a section that was the size of a foam football, and the second time it was just the size of a golf ball. That was at the prime age of where you're learning how to swim, ride a bike. So I did not get to learn all those things at that age, and I had to wait. And take my time with a lot of different things because I was recovering from surgery and dealing with a lot of mobility and pain issues because of my tumor. As I grew up, I had to continue being cautious of my pain and the mobility issues that the tumor had caused. One of my biggest goals as I got older, I really wanted to go into the military, but because of my tumors, I was unable to. So I decided to go into law enforcement. I started off my career a little in corrections, and as I progressed a little bit, I couldn't go any further into my career because of my I was getting more pain and more issues occurring. So I had to resign from that. Then I found a clinical trial where I met Dr. Herbie, and I actually got on the clinical trial. It was been on it for about 5 years now. But the biggest impact of being on that clinical trial was the 1 year mark, where I was actually deciding to almost go off of it. But when I got the news that my tumor had shrank 57%, it was a no-brainer that I had to stay on the clinical trial. So that impact on my life was big for me. It has caused me to be in less pain and enjoy a lot more of the activities I love to do. I'm an Eagle Scout, so I love to do a lot of outdoor activities, camping, hiking, fishing, hunting, especially kayaking. And I've been able to do those activities for an extended period of time thanks to being more pain-free from my tumor shrinking and being on this clinical trial. Since then, I've also gone into the ministry. I'm now a pastor, and I'm loving helping and supporting other people.
Dr. Herbie, what kind of options are available today to help patients manage this condition?
Yeah, so every patient is different, so it's definitely important for everyone to talk to their physician. But I will say that, historically, we were really limited to surgery as the only treatment option for these tumors. But like Austin's story tells, surgery is far from perfect. Most of the time, we can't get all of the tumor out. And more than half of the time, even if we can get part of it out, it grows back. In 2020, there was one medication that was FDA approved for children with NF1-PN. And then very excitingly, in February of this year, we finally had the first FDA approved medication for both adults and children with NF1-PN. And that's a medication called mirdametinib or gomekli. And the medication has been shown to significantly shrink these tumors and also reduce the pain that patients are having. Every medication comes with side effects, and the most common side effects that patients experience are GI side effects, so things like nausea, sometimes vomiting, diarrhea, and then skin rashes, mostly an acne-like rash.
Where can viewers go to learn more or find support?
Yeah, so you can find more information at gomekli.com. That's gomekli.com. And then I think another great resource for patients is the Children's Tumor Foundation website. You can find a lot of information on diagnosis, treatment, and then just, support resources for patients and families.
Thank you both for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Appreciate your time.
When the summer heat kicks in, we all know how to keep it cool, but our pets don't always have that choice. From hot sidewalks and backyard barbecues to glow sticks and pool parties, there are some surprising summer hazards that can put our furry and fuzzy little friends at risk. So joining us today with tips to keep our pets safe all season long is Dr. Alexandra Mayer, a veterinarian with VCA Animal Hospitals. Welcome to the show, Dr. Mayer. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Walking dogs and living life with cats. What are some of the most common dangers pets are facing during some of these summer, and maybe a few that might surprise us that we didn't know about?
Well, a big one, of course, right now is heat. We are in the middle of a heat wave in much of the U.S., and our pets are really, really sensitive to that heat. So that's a big one. But we also think about things that humans like to do in the summer. We like to get out, we like to cook, we like to enjoy that weather with barbecues and fires. We like to be in the swimming pool, but those actually have some risks associated with them that we need to be aware of.
Things like fire pits, citronella candles, and even barbecues, they can be risky. How can we protect our curious little friends from open flames and all that?
Avoidance is honestly one of the best things we can do for these guys. If we have an active grill, if we have an active fire pit, keep your pet inside or in a completely different area where they are away from that heat source so their little noses and whiskers don't get burned. Citronella candles also smell really sweet. Their fumes can cause asthmatic cats to have a problem. We can have singed whiskers, burned noses. If a dog takes a lick, that can cause oral irritations, GI irritations. So keep an eye on those and keep them away from our pets.
And I've seen people use glow sticks as a way to play fetch at night, but that's not right. There's not a good thing to do, right?
No, definitely. It's a toy for us, but it's not a toy for our pets. Cats and dogs can think those are toys and want to chew on them. Not only does the liquid taste really bad, it also can cause some irritation in that GI system if it's swallowed. So if you do see, a bite or a puncture to that glow stick, rinse your pet's mouth out, give them a treat, and don't be afraid to contact your veterinarian if you have any questions.
And I've seen a lot of videos of animals falling into pools and parents trying to jump in to save them. They can't just easily dog paddle their way out, can they?
Some dogs are great in the water. There are other dogs that sink like a rock. America loves the French Bulldog. That's the most popular breed right now, but they just don't swim very well. So whenever we have our pet around the pool, we do want to supervise them. Even the most strongest swimmer can get tired if they can't get out of the pool in a safe manner. If you do have a pool in your backyard, teach your dog how to navigate that pool, where the steps are, where that shallow area is, so that they don't run into a dangerous situation.
So how do we know that it's too hot to take the dog out for a run or a walk in their little pads on the concrete? That's dangerous, right?
It can be, for sure. Our paws are very, very sensitive for our pets. So in order to see how hot is that ground, take your hand and put it on the sidewalk or the asphalt. If you can't keep your hand there more for a few seconds, it's too hot for your pet's paws to be on there. Take them in the grass, take them in the shade, in a much cooler area where their feet will be safe.
And we always hear never leave your dogs or pets in the car, but is there ever a time that it's safe, like windows cracked or something like that, or in Tesla mode, I guess?
It's never really a safe idea to keep your dog in the car. With those windows cracked, your cars can heat up very, very quick. They're like a little oven. My general rule of thumb is if your pet can't go into the building with you, don't bring your pet. In order to help prevent if your pet is forgotten in the car, what I recommend would be to put your purse, put your wallet, put your keys in the back with your pet, so that when you get out of the car and retrieve that item, your pet's right there with you.
All right. And if someone's pet does have like a mishap this summer, where could they go for help or more information?
VCA has a wonderful resource online. They have a summer safety handbook at vca.com. But we're also running a wonderful special from June 23rd to July 15th that owners can download a 50% coupon that provides 50% off their emergency exam at VCA hospitals. And those can be found at vca.com.
Dr. Mayer, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Schizophrenia is a complex mental illness, and it affects how people think, feel, and act. And for families, it can be incredibly difficult to navigate. And today we're joined by Brooke Kemp, a psychiatric practitioner with decades of experience, and also Katie Hayes, and she's a nurse and a mom who's helped her son manage with schizophrenia. Welcome to the both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Brooke, for those who may not know, what is schizophrenia and what symptoms can we look out for?
Absolutely. And thank you for asking. Thank you for having us today. Katie and I are so excited to be here to be able to educate others on what schizophrenia is and what treatment options are available. It is a complex medical diagnosis. It actually affects about 2.8 million individuals just in the United States alone. It has positive symptoms, so hallucinations, hearing things, seeing things, paranoia. Negative symptoms in which individuals might seem less motivated and communicate less with others. But it also affects them cognitively, so their thought processes aren't quite as organized or as fast as they might have been in the past. But the big emphasis is that there are treatment options available that will allow our patients to have positive outcomes.
Why is early intervention so important when treating this condition?
Early intervention is imperative in this situation. We believe the first 3 to 5 years after diagnosis of schizophrenia is the critical period because this is when the condition seems to progress most rapidly. So This is the time when we want to intervene with medication, and there are effective medications. We actually have research that shows a long-acting injectable where an individual can receive an injection of in-vagus Sustenna in this treatment group within 3 to 5 years of being diagnosed with the illness actually have delayed time to relapse versus oral antipsychotic medication.
And Katie, what was your experience like as a caregiver when your son was first diagnosed?
In the beginning, when his psychotic symptoms started to develop and moved into his first psychotic episode, it's living in a nightmare. Fear and anxiety that was paralytic at times, a lot of self-blame. Myself, this is something that I did, I could have prevented, blaming drugs and alcohol, and just simply there's nowhere to turn. There was nobody else who I could relate to that I knew whose child may have schizophrenia. So one of the first things I did, and probably the most important, is I decided to educate myself about schizophrenia and its symptoms. And I just felt like I had to figure out what was sort of going on in his mind. And one of the things I learned is that the biggest barrier they have is they lack insight into their illness. They don't think they're sick. So then it became understandable as they gave him, upon leaving, his hospitalizations, oral medication. If you don't think you're sick, why are you going to take a pill for something that you don't think you have? And also, some of the side effects of them can decrease their motivation, not actually increase, and cause even more severe depression. And then from there, I advocated and joined support groups for other caregivers. And it was actually there that I learned about the long-acting injectable in-vagus Sustenna by Johnson & Johnson that his another caregiver's son had tried, and it was working for him, as in he could hold down a job. He was living independently.
So that did help you and your son finding that right treatment with those injectables, and he's doing well now?
Yes, today he is 10 years in remission and enjoying his professional career, has achieved his goals and living independently.
And if families want more support or information, where can they go?
You can go to treatyourschizophrenia.com, and even caregivers, if you have a loved one or a child diagnosed with schizophrenia and you're looking for a long-acting treatment plan, this is the place to go.
Thank you, too, for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
The greatest job in the world must be what our next guests have. Just imagine traveling to any city in the world, sitting down, finding food, finding cultures, and just hanging out with some good people. And that's what, the chef of love, Mr. Jernard Wells, does for a living. So let's chat with this cat right now. Hey, Chef Jernard, how are you, my friend?
I am feeling good. I want to tell you, I love that Paisley shirt. You're rocking it.
Thank you. I think this is the only shirt, the second shirt that I own. So thank you. That is it. Oh, you have the ultimate job. You travel from city to city. You talk to people that you love. You eat the foods that you love. You do things that you love. No wonder why they call you the chef of love. But come on, man. Tell us about the new show, Savor the City.
Yes, Savor the City is my way of sharing love with the world. Now, I said, no more waiting until people are gone to give them their flowers. I said, let's give them their flowers now while they're still here and they can smell them and know how great they are to us, what they mean to the culture. And I think it's so important that others learn and see what amazing gems that we have right at our back doors sometime, at our front doors, the local bakery, the local restaurant, the mom and pop. Let's go and sow into them some of the best food, the history, the culture, the travel. And I'm using the dinner plate to connect us because food is what ultimately connects us all.
And when you're traveling, is there anything that really surprised you? Like maybe some ingredient, maybe something that you realized in a culture that you just didn't get used to or just learned along your travels?
One of the biggest things that surprised me out of all things, I was eating at an amazing restaurant, And this particular restaurant served me shark. It was my first time experiencing shark. And seeing that shark actually tastes like pork chops. You know, most people say, oh, all these different dishes, what it tastes like chicken. No, the shark actually tastes like a sweet, juicy pork chop, which was really amazing, but surprised me because at first I was like, I don't know if I want to venture here. But this is the thing. I want to bring the best to my people. If you're afraid to try it, if you're afraid to travel there, you hadn't experienced it yet, let me be your personal tour guide. I'm going to take you through it. I'm going to share what the food tastes like, give you play-by-play experiences, as well as take you on a journey that you wouldn't get no other way other than joining me on Savor the City.
Chef Jernard, we have you on our show all the time, and we want to say congratulations on your big show.
Right.
Check out Chef Jernard Wells every Thursday night on TV1 for Savor the City at 8 p.m. 7 Central. Thanks again, man, for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
Food allergies can be scary, especially for little ones who might not be able to explain what's wrong. And in childhood care centers, emergencies can happen fast. Dr. Alice Hoyt is a board-certified allergist and one of the leading voices behind a new initiative helping early childhood professionals be ready when every second counts. She joins us to share how the Early Childhood Anaphylaxis Collaborative is equipping centers and caregivers to protect kids. Welcome, Dr. Hoyt.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Can you tell us what the Early Childhood Anaphylaxis Collaborative is and why it's so important for families and child care centers?
Absolutely. I'm really delighted to partner with Kaleo in bringing this collaborative really to the forefront of our minds. It's a group of early child care professionals, of healthcare providers, families, other stakeholders. Really, we're providing resources to early child care centers to be prepared for anaphylaxis. Anaphylaxis is a life-threatening reaction, and about 5 to 10% of kiddos have a food allergy today. And as you mentioned, those younger kiddos, they can't always say, hey, I'm having an allergic reaction. So we really need to provide resources on how to be prepared and how to respond to those reactions.
And what exactly is undesignated epinephrine, and why should child care centers consider having it on hand?
Epinephrine is the treatment for anaphylaxis, and undesignated epinephrine is epinephrine that's usually already pre-dosed as some form of a device that can be used in case of an anaphylactic emergency, whether or not the patient has a known diagnosis, or let's say a kiddo does have a known food allergy, but they don't have their epinephrine device with them. The center can use undesignated or stock epinephrine that has been prescribed actually to the center to be used exactly for that emergency and potentially save that child's life.
What does a solid anaphylaxis response plan include for early childhood settings?
Yeah, an anaphylaxis response plan is really going to include two main parts. The first part is the knowledge part, making sure that all early childcare professionals know what food allergies are, know how to recognize the signs and symptoms of a reaction, and then know how to treat it. And that second part is really that treatment part, having a plan in place that the center can practice in how to actually get to the child having the emergency, and then how to use that undesignated epinephrine.
What kind of support or resources can child care providers access through this collaborative?
Through the collaborative, as soon as they go to the website, they put in their email, they're going to be emailed links to different organizations who have been working in this space for years, who really have that servant's heart of wanting to prepare their center to be prepared for anaphylaxis emergencies. This looks like roadmaps, posters, all the different learning tools, how to obtain undesignated epinephrine, really everything they need will be right there for them. That's why it's so exciting to have this amazing true collaborative that is bringing all this information to these centers.
And help us all out here. Where can parents and providers go to learn more or to get involved?
Absolutely. ECAcollaborative.com. And if you're an early child care professional, a parent, a healthcare provider, you have any sort of interest in this space, go to that website, sign up, learn more, and help be a part of this amazing solution to get our child care centers ready to respond to this emergency.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us today, Doctor.
Thank you for having me.
Do you ever wonder what it really takes to earn one of the most iconic uniforms in sports? I would love one, but I wouldn't look good in it. Season 2 of America's Sweethearts, Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders just dropped on Netflix, and it gives us an all-access pass to the high-pressure world of DCC auditions, training camp, and the life under those stadium lights. So joining us today is longtime DCC director Kelly Finglass, along with current squad members Jada McLean and Reese Weaver, here with a sneak peek behind the pom-poms. Welcome to the show, you three. How are you?
Good morning.
Great.
All right. This new season takes on, it really takes viewers deeper than it has ever done before. What made you want to tell more of the story this time around, Kelly?
Well, there's just, it's a beautiful story. It's beautiful people, and I've always been very, very proud of the dance and performance achievements of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, but Netflix has now put a new lens on the cheerleaders as individuals, and you get to see this beautiful, complex life of Jada, and you see Reese's personal story, getting married, and her experiences with being a new bride. It's just it's captivating, and they're all someone that different people can relate to and be inspired from.
Jada and Reese, what was it like to have cameras following you along your journey? I have a hard time with the ones that are in this room. Did did anything surprise you about like watching it back after everything?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't too surprised just because, for one, we lived it. But I think we have a great camera team. I think they do their best to just be there. They don't really, force anything. They don't try to get in the middle of, anything going on. They kind of just hang around and film. So everything is very authentic, and it is really how it, was lived out. They're just there to capture it.
The show really captures how intense the training process is. What kind of pressure do you guys as dancers face both physically and emotionally?
I think, as dancers, we, from a very young age, we're constantly looking at ourselves in the mirror, and we're trying to learn technique and moves and all sorts of things in the mirror. And I think that can sometimes negatively have an effect on dancers as they grow older with comparison or wanting to have certain strengths that other girls have. But I think that for us, I think that we all know that we are cream of the crop, and we do our best in everything that we do, but we also push ourselves. And so I'm just really grateful for the sisterhood that we have, and that camaraderie of making sure that we're the best in all that we do.
And you get to see a lot of sisterhood and personal growth this season. How has being part of the DCC changed your lives beyond the field?
Yeah, I've met some of my best friends on this team, and truly they've shaped me. They've taught me a lot about myself. They've taught me a lot about, being a good friend, being a good teammate, and being a good human being. So I'm grateful for these women. They are a lot more beautiful on the inside than they are on the outside. I know that's probably hard to believe, but I think they are amazing individuals, and I'm just so grateful to be surrounded by people like them.
I want to thank you three for joining me this morning. If you love football, dance, or just that great underdog story, check out America's Sweethearts, Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders, now streaming on Netflix. Thank you three for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
That's it for Rise Unwind. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. Follow us on YouTube at Rise Unwind TV. And until next week, that was Rise and Unwind.